real quick. So, what we're playing now is the Beginner's Guide. If you don't know what that is, it's made by the guys who made Stanley Parable, which is a very weird, interesting experience. I recommend it. I know nothing about this one, however, because you should go into these games very spoiler free, because there's no point in playing them otherwise. So I know absolutely nothing about this. If you don't want it spoiled, you probably shouldn't watch this, but because I got told that you should not know anything about this game. You should just go into it completely blind, which is what I'm doing. All I know is it's by the Stanley Parable guys, so it should be interesting. Yes, let me update my title real quick here. Bam. All right. Thanks for that, guy. Um, seems kind of loud. Do that. Do about there. Maybe a little more. That seems good. Full captions, good. Okay. I think we are good to go. I'm excited for this. Stanley Parable was fantastic, and I'm curious what they have in store for us this time.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveyWreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
I'm so confused and intrigued at the same time. Oh, I have a gun now.
This
Okay,
game
I
is
have to see if I can turn the sensitivity down. Holy shit. Mouse sensitivity, like there.
called
that's
Escape
better.
from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
I am prepared to go for a ride. That's what I signed up for. Because I assume nothing is what it appears here.
Hostile alien life form inbound.
Where's the aliens?
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development.
Oh,
For instance,
rude.
you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
Nice, it's not even a sky dome, it's a sky square. You can see the creases up there too.
Apparently this space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
But I wanted to go through the labyrinth. Fuck you.
Or if you'd really like to solve the labyrinth, you're
Yeah,
welcome to do
gonna
that.
solve this damn labyrinth. Get out here. Don't tell me what to do. I'm trying to find the start now. I think it's just the start. I'm gonna be completely lost. Okay, I'm just gonna get out of here before I'm completely lost. Remember which one it was? I think it was the last one on the left. What was this? I feel like there's secrets. Or was this the start? I think this was the start. Okay, this buzzard's getting a little annoying. Okay, there we go. That wasn't hard.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the Whisper Machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Where'd my gun go?
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all.
Me?
That beam is powering the Whisper Machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
I mean, sure. Alright. Anything else in here? Okay.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Okay, I'll try again. Whee! Oh, oh, whee! Into space!
The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it, like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
The past was behind her.
Yep, in this game you can only walk backwards.
You can in fact only walk backwards. Only the W key works.
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Coda's trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
But if the future is always behind her, how will she find the strength to confront it?
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Spooky. Time for a horror game. I like how you can just see the Spear of Darkness that's just attached to you. It's attached to your player model. Also, I'm very limited in how far I can move. That's it. That's the range of walking I have. You are now entering...
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting. Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
I'm moving slower now.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
Maybe I want to crawl all the way up there. Okay, it's gonna take a while. There we go. Stand at an X at a bear for 3 hours. Is this game ideas?
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games.
You are a gate.
Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
You are a gate, best game. Easy game of the year right there. Somebody make that. Oh, okay. Ready, set, fish. let's get some fishing on. I'm ready to fish.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
Did I solve it? I pressed the button. Okay.
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this
Okay.
puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
Well, I meant I pushed the button, as in I pushed the E button, because they didn't tell me that the E button would be part of the controls. I did in fact pull the lever, but it was the right lever, so that makes a big difference.
So
That's
that
a nice
seems
little
to
room.
be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again, so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Okay. Well then.
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world.
So it's just randomly generated?
Either way, I think that the point is the same. Is that most of the time, you don't get to know what you're missing. Or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
Alright, back here again. You are now exiting.
Aha! So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
The great and lovely descent. It's very bright. It's too bright.
Let's talk about video game development for a second.
Sure.
Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development.
The streetwise fool.
To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well. The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Good thing there's no fall damage. Oh, I missed. Ow, my knees. Oh, there's like a glass tube. Are we going through a cattle herder? I'm not a cow, sir.
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the doors stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that.
That guy's a geek.
This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
Wait, this is a sky dome or a skybox? Oh, it's a skybox again. I don't know if you can see it on stream. I can see the corner right there. Damn it, you sky domes.
It's the puzzle again, with the exact same solution as the last time. There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
Oh, a skybox, no. Not quite you. Not quite you, Sky. What's it? You there, did you come from above?
Here,
What
Coda
was up
begins
there?
using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
Yes, there was a world stamped with whiteness. Yes, there was an enormous prison I spent hours in. Yes, there were these floating colored blocks. Let's go with 1. That's the world above. You've been there. Now this is important. Did you have to get through a puzzle with 2 doors and switches? Yes, that's literally the last thing I did before coming here. Again, perfect. Now please, tell us how you solved it. Tell us the solution. Tell us how to get to the other side. I don't remember how I solved it. I didn't solve it. Trust me, you don't want to go over there. Let's just keep going with 1. You must think harder. Please try to remember. It is important. We get out of here. Must escape this prison. Can you think harder? There must be something more. Please tell us how to reach the end. I guess not. Sorry, guys. Oh, hi, welcome back. No, I've been right here the entire time. I suggest you go and see the puzzle sometime. It's not meant to be solved, but you can sit in the black space in the middle. Why would I sit in black space? Oh, it's plenty peaceful. It may not seem that way at first, but you'll come to think so in time, eventually. Okay. These guys are awfully curious about this simple puzzle.
And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level. It's a lamppost. Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, you know, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, And maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're going to see it in the work as well. His games are just going to become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
Will it, though? Or will I just get more confused? I feel like it's the latter there. This game is connected to the internet. As you walk around, you can leave notes. All the notes you see are left by other players. So, Dark Souls? Oh, I see it. Nice room. Not. How do I leave a note?
So first off, I'm sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're going to see have been written by Coda.
But I want to leave notes.
This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy, trying to get his attention. I was over-enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is going to happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played.
Okay, so you can't balls.
But it's ironic,
just balls.
isn't it? That in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
Wow, that's quite the sentence. Okay, he told me not to read all of these, so obviously I have to read all of these. Cool cavern, bro. Hey, I can type here. I'd rather be doing literally anything other than playing this. The guy over there wrote much wrong. What the shit is this cavern? Boring. Can I assure you guarantee that there is an acorn somewhere here in this place and the sailors are looking for it? Uh-huh. Just looking for someone to talk with. I hope there's one that says like ASL question mark. Butt ass butt. Nice. Got him. I need to go to the frickin' bathroom. Recognize me. Nothing here, go back. Don't listen to that guy. Now it's Dark Souls. Now it's Dark Souls. If there also needs to be one at the edge that's like, try jumping. Free t-shirt. Need other side, door, why you so? Door, how open? Open sesame. Makes game, includes door, cannot open door. Thanks. New room. Game where you leave notes and suddenly everyone's a poet. Proceeding further will only result in misery. Oh, there it is. There's the jump. It won't let me jump. I want to jump. Cabbage shapes our nation. There's so many. I have to read them all. Today I learned you can't fall off. Ethical. Nope, still can't jump. Well, there's less and less as we go further down, it looks like. I saw a person walking down there, now it won't come back. It's a nice painting of circles. Whoever made this has issues. Art. Just hanging. Help, I'm trying to speak. Messy up close and pervert from far away? Yeah, it did look nicer from far away. From up here, it just looks like dots. Cabbage shapes our nation again. Oh, there's repeats. Boo. Stop pretending you're other people. Wait, I missed one back here. If there's like one at the end that I can't reach, I'm gonna be angry. I like that they lose their blue color when you read them though. So I know. We're all here now. We all float down here. It's a terrible secret. He kept it well. I beat the game. More room?
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one. In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on.
I've been here for literally an hour, what the fuck do I do? Help. Help! Help me. Help me. Developer answers, please.
And because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture.
So loud. Is that a typewriter? It's a lot of typewriters. Are you there? Please say something. It can be anything. Just need you to say something. Talk to me, please. Why are you having so much difficulty talking? Speak, 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 speak. My ears. Porn stars die too.
Okay, this one is tough. It's gonna kinda just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
Okay. Does it spin its own wheels? Got a nice little well on what I assume. Oh, I can crouch. Crouching is a thing. There's another skybox. I can't see. I can't see the edges. Maybe it's a dome finally.
See, like, this is it. The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway. Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
What furniture ought to go in the center of the room? Giant hole in the ground. How about a TV with surround sound or refrigerator? I mean, giant hole seems like a way to escape, but we're gonna go with the TV. Need a TV. What about along the wall of the room? Really like a washing machine. Let's put a huge picture of a horse. Huge picture of a horse, yeah. Where's the horse? Where's my horse? I think we should light up this room a bit. Let's see, a skylight, full ceiling window. Let's open this baby up. I'm thinking the 10 by 12 recessed electric 6-inch soft LED ceiling light with fluorescent trim. We'll put live Tesla coils in each corner, yeah. Let's go with the recessed soft LEDs. And a table. You need a table. Tables were invented in 1935. Nice.
There's a bit more to this one, but still it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake. So okay, he throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
Hello, please walk forward. This guide will enable you to escape any prison environment. Follow the instructions carefully. I missed what it said. Rip. First, click on this table. Good. Go over to the photo frame and click to turn it slightly. Now turn the floor lamp in this room off and then turn it back on. Now go to the left side sofa, move it over a little. Finally, touch the shelves. Touched. That's it. In a real prison, the escape will now open. Return to the start to be taken back to your prison. Okay.
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape.
Nice.
Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop, that particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
So then it's not a prison game. There's nothing to do with the prison game. Is that a mirror? Oh, it's a window. Okay, got a phone booth. Sure. Hello. Who is this? Hey, it's me. I'm you from after you escaped the prison. You're me? ... So you were trapped in this prison too.
It's a conversation.
I was in the reverse prison.
What Coda wants is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
Strange, but in a way, I kind of miss being in the prison. Why? Was there anything about it that you felt good about? Being here sucks. It was comfortable, I knew my limits, I knew my place. Is that good though? It's comfortable, but it's inhumane. I couldn't live it this way. You'll see what I'm talking about when you've been there a while longer. Wait, if you're me, then did you get a call from another version of you when you were trapped? No, I'm the first. Then can you tell me how to get out? Maybe I can come find you. What do I have to do? To get out, all you have to do is be sincere. What? That will free me? How does that work? It will make sense to be super vague. Sincere about what? That's exactly what you need to figure out in order to escape.
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice? So what would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself?
I bet we're gonna find out.
To me, this environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the two doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
It's a nice little house. Oh, okay, we're locked in. Someone spilt their tar? I don't know what you're drinking, but that doesn't look very healthy. Hi. The bot is cleaning. Clean, 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 clean. But I might have to clean this entire house all by myself. And right miserable that would have been. Everyone knows lonesome hands make lousy
You'll notice
homes.
that the quality of the art is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
Are we cleaning this whole place? That's the story, little one. Oh, don't you worry now. We'll be through this mess in no time. I promise you'll wish there was more. Why don't I finish up here? In the meantime, could you please clear the table? This table? Or this table? Oh, this table. Well, she said finish up here. So, like... much nicer. That's the table I want to see. Now, would you please run into the bedroom and make the bed? The bedroom is back here. Right there. Make the bed. While you're in there, why don't you straighten out the rug a bit? Sure. All the little details matter. How do you end up doing this job? A friend dragged me along at a time when I was particularly desperate for cash. Turns out I've never felt so good doing something for money in my whole life. Never did like cleaning my own home. I might have got some demons I ain't ready to face yet. Oh, speaking of demons, someone's put this couch all in a mess. Should come out and straighten these pillows here. Straighten the pillows. Oh, looks like someone spilled a drink over by the couch. Maybe mop that up while you're over there? Yeah, I pointed this out already. That's better. Nice and tidy now. I'm sure we have to do the dishes too. I feel compelled to share an incredibly cheesy personal insight. You okay with that? Make it especially cheesy. Extra cheese. Da 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 da. No. Oh. No, it was stupid, sorry, never mind. Hey, these dishes need to be washed, why don't you come do that? Done. Last I checked, the tub needed a cleaning. Where's the bathroom? Over here? Yeah. Scrub the tub. There are books still scattered on the floor of the bedroom. Put them back on the shelf. Okay. Perfect. How about you come and clear these dishes off the table? Wait
After
a
the
minute.
intense set of prison games, this house cleaning level almost feels
Wait
like
a minute.
cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful.
These chores ever end? Darling, let me tell you something. Whatever work you do, you have to absolutely got to own it. Otherwise, it owns you. So why don't we be with the task at hand and leave the future chores to future you? Present you wants to smooth out the rug in the bedroom, believe it or not.
I know that
Trust
Coda
me on
really
this one.
liked this game. Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy all the time, just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
Earlier when I said I had a cheesy thought, I was gonna say that it occurs to me that one's house is a lot like one's soul. You take care of it and it takes care of you. Heh. Don't know why I felt so weird about saying that. But there's a bit of truth in it, no? Anyway, so, housekeeping. Let's keep doing this. Books, would you please clean up the books? I already cleaned up the books. This is hell.
I'm glad he made this. I'm glad he found some peace.
So much cleaning.
But, of course, it can't last.
Oh,
The music
okay.
stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well.
Okay.
Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
I did. I cleaned everything twice, in fact. And the lamppost.
Which is the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it. This one
Items you
gets a
love at
bit
members
goofy.
only prices. Oh god, I'm in college. Alone in college. Why did you come here today? Was it to improve your life? Was it to get a better job? Was it to make your relationships more meaningful? No, you came here to become perfect. This workshop is going to teach you how to be perfect. I want your friends, the people in your life, to look at you and think, wow, this person is a better human being than I am. Right, now, who do you think about that way in your own life? Who do you know who is so well developed as a person that they make you feel disgusted with yourself? Compared to whom you feel useless, selfish, ungrateful. I intend to make you into that person. Perfection is within your grasp. And the question is not how do we do it, but how do we do it effortlessly? This is easy. It is so easy. It is so easy.
About halfway through the game,
Being perfect is
perspective
effortless. Hello. Why is Armageddon happening in the background?
and you play as the teacher. And suddenly, you discover that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are. Oh, and also you can move around the classroom now.
Nice. Alright, listen up, kids. Well, let me tell you right now, if it isn't Everlance, then it's not the right answer. I still love you. It's just that you make me feel cold on the inside. Being alone must be awful. Can I select that? I can. Thank goodness all of you perceive me as being wise and intelligent. You, I'm developing a cyst. Gross. Do you understand that you won't be happy until you love me? This is for you. Seek out only one thing. What is the easiest, simplest path forward? Ha ha ha, just kidding. Anyone want to do some ecstasy after this? Yeah, we're picking that one. Hello, fellow kids. I'd like to do some drugs. What if I'm not a good teacher? Do it as easiest, do it as simplest, feel it as true. Holy shit, you guys, something is coming out of the back of the room. Look out. No, but seriously though. Everyone run, run.
I fell pretty hard for this one. I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences that you can have.
Perfection.
To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human. I think about this game a lot these days.
Oh, we're at 2010 now. Hey, it's this picture again. And these couches.
This one took a lot longer than all the others for Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one. That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this, and it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
Ah. Places, please. Yes, I've made it. I'm famous. This scene you'll be playing as me. We are at a gathering of professionals. First off, you'll start out leaning against this wall. Sure. Lean against the wall. Good. Stay right there. The woman across the room, in this chair, is a professional photographer of animals. It's your dream to photograph animals professionally. This is your one chance to learn something from her, to gain something, to succeed. Go on, say something to her. Hello. Hello, that's it? That's not a conversation. You need to actually converse with her. Be a human being. Do it again. Here are all of my hopes and dreams. Bam. No, no, no. That's not what I said to her at all. You're completely missing the tone of the conversation. I was reserved, but I knew what I wanted. I was confident. For some reason, it was just that one moment, but I was confident. Maybe it's that you need a better feel of the setting. There were a lot of people around us. I'll give you some props to work with. These cones that bounce when you touch them will represent people nearby. Now talk to her again. You must have worked really hard to get where you are. I'll bet you've learned to lean into the pain. What are some sacrifices you've had to make? You're messing it all up again. You'll freak her out if the conversation gets that personal that quickly. Do you not realize how important this was for me? I'll never get another opportunity like this again. Everything was riding on this. I want to try something. Try stepping back from the stage. This is like a weird episode of Whose Line Is It Anyways? Colin Mockery's gonna bust in and tell me I'm doing it wrong. Oh, okay. Back to the prison. Okay, yes, now this is working.
The
This
game
is what it
ends
was
with
like.
this eerie premonition of what's going to happen next in Coda's life. The solution to social anxiety, to fears of having to perform and having to chase success, the answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away. Which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago, where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very healthy when I first played this game. You know, it looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with this person, to bring him closer. But what can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
It's getting kind of dark. Mobius Trip. To play this game properly, you must keep your eyes closed. Click to begin the game. Alright. I don't have a cam. Might not believe me, I'll close my eyes. Okay. Eyes are closed. All I hear is sirens and destruction. Shouldn't there be some sort of sound cues? Did I die? Guessing I died. Okay.
You should probably open your eyes if you haven't already.
No, shut
It's
up.
pretty much impossible to solve otherwise.
Shut up.
And there is a solution, by the way.
Fuck you. God damn it. Okay, open my eyes. Wait, what did I die to? I'm gonna have to watch the VOD now. Hope I'm blind. What did I die to? Oh, okay, I see. Speak something that is honest. Can't keep making these. Yes, that's the truth. It's draining me.
Like I said, I was getting concerned.
It's getting dark.
First off, he's never been this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking. So where's that coming from? But then even weirder, his work has potentially stopped being an outlet for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual. Like, you know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that you say in order to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing. Here was the point in my relationship with Coda where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way.
This is getting dark and depressing.
His games are going to get more desperate from here on out. After this game, it's almost 6 months before he finishes something new.
Hello. Oh, particle effects. Where did this island come from? Ah, it's another island. Is that a person? How lovely. It's been a long time since I talked to anyone. ... What's wrong? You look lost. When I try to create, I feel empty. Oh no. What's happened? Did something change? Trying to find this engine that used to protect me to start it again. There was a machine that kept me going and it stopped. Wait, you're looking for a machine? I think I know where it is. It isn't far. You have to take me to it. I can do that, but there's a problem.
The last game featured Coda talking explicitly about his creative frustrations. This one turns it up to 11. Now, put yourself in my shoes playing this. Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle, frustration, anxiety, depression, even. And yet, still, he keeps making games. He keeps throwing himself into the grinder even when he clearly doesn't have the energy for it anymore. Why? What is it for?
I hit 3 there, it still said deal. Perfect. Come along, I'll show it to you.
Because from my perspective at the time, and just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet, and so he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on.
That was so simple.
You can't talk yourself out of loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers. Then there's no movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash. Seeing this game at the time that he made it, it looked really unhealthy to me. I was watching him do this to himself, and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped. It's like, video games are not worth this amount of suffering. This is someone I really cared about, and I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me. I don't know. This is what I felt at the time. I don't know how else to explain it. I wanted it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so rotten. I needed more than I had ever needed anything for this to stop. But it didn't stop. After finishing this one, Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
The machine. Ma'am, glad to see you arrived safely. We've captured the machine. It's waiting for you now. You can begin the interrogation whenever you'd like. I intend to be quick. Very good. Just be warned that someone called the press, so we might have a bit of attention on this one. Also, one more thing you should know about the machine. It calls itself Coda. Too many press. No pictures. No comment. No comment. Nope. No comment. Sorry.
And of course, it's the machine.
You stopped. Your work was keeping us alive. Those people out there, can you imagine what pain you put them through? You need to go out and apologize to them. You have to admit these people that you allow them to suffer. No? Nothing? Alright then, I will speak to them for you. Oh god, a press conference? I'm not ready for this. My followers. My friends. It falls on me to deliver bad news. The machine will not apologize to us. We will find a way to live without it. We do not need its games. Let us show it that we are not failures. Follow me, we will destroy everything that the machine has created. Hey, we're back on the stage. I have a gun again.
So now the work is becoming self-destructive. And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking that Code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to people, to get some actual feedback on his games. It might get him out of isolation. And so, as I'm thinking this, I realize that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback, so what if I did it for it? If he could see the difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings, would that bring him out of his mental spiral? Would it give him confidence in himself? Would it bring meaning back into his work? So I started showing Coda's work to people. I took this one, and the islands which you just played, the theater, the notes, the house cleaning game, and some of the prison escape games. I brought them to people that I knew and trusted. I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all was just to give him some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work. There was nothing for him to be afraid of.
This is weird. Why is there a cutscene? Put down your weapon. Okay. I clicked. No, put it down. I don't want to shoot it.
Can you see why I felt like this was the right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need, to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When someone really connects with a thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something, I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling. It was the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy. So beautifully, beautifully happy. So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look.
Kind of scared. The Tower.
And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, The Tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game. This room actually has a maze in it.
Okay.
Except that all the walls of the maze are invisible. And then every time you touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise, so the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played, it actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the levels, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
I want to see what the actual maze looks like. Not sure where to go actually. It's gotta be like the left or right side. Slightly. I don't believe him. I don't think there's an actual maze. I think I'm being debated again.
And to be fair, it's not like this is the first game that's needed some modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end. But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze? The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him. but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here. I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
I didn't figure I would have any luck, but I wanted to try anyways. I had to give it the old college try.
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first two challenges and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely, just saying, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem. I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem. But I can open this door for you, so let me do that. Was I a failure for not understanding this game? I mean, I don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why. I remember, it's June of 2011. I'm playing this for the very first time, and as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them... I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years, I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean. And he wouldn't. I just felt so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me. But he stopped and left, and it felt somehow like I had failed. Where did I screw up?
Yeah, I've noticed the dots.
I'm the reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you. I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... It felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable. And the people who played them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, I felt good about myself. Finally. For a moment, while I had that, I liked myself.
Wait, so Davey was editing the lampposts? I mean, obviously he was changing the games. He was modifying them to, make them beatable. But he said that Coda was editing the lampposts.
And then you stopped, and I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing. What does that mean? I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself. That's why I'm releasing this collection of your work, is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again? Please, I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in.
Walls are closing.
I mean, is something wrong with me? Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. I want to know I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please. I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay. More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease. Solution. I guess if someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed. Maybe he just likes making prisons. Even now, the disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you. If I knew that my life depended on finding something to be driven by other than validation, what would that even be? It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like. What now? I think I need to go. And I'm sorry, because I know that I said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for, and so I'm just gonna... Okay.
Oh, it's the beam of light. Is it gonna kill us, or are we gonna float up? That's the question. was not what I expected at all. At the same time, I'm glad I played it. Coming from, Stanley Parable, I was not expecting that very dark tone. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of room for interpretation, but the base is basically that, the narrator Davy thought Coda was depressed and, he had social anxiety, like he was cutting himself off from the world, but Coda was actually, fine. He was just doing his thing. But Davy constantly changing his games and not letting them be played the way he meant them to be played. And it turns out that Davy was the one with, the issues and the insecurities, and he talked a lot about the validation. Like he was basically using Coda's games to get validation for himself. But like the harder he pushed Coda, like the more it drove him away because he was changing his games and they weren't what they wanted. They weren't what Coda wanted them to be, basically. Yeah, that's my other question is how much of this is a true story? That's obviously the biggest question. Is Coda real? Is Davy real? Is this a real story? Is it inspired by a real story? Which I think is a very intended question to have. No, Sky, it's not aliens. Yeah, that was interesting. Like I said, not what I expected. It's got a very dark, somber tone compared to what I was expecting, but some deep stuff in there. And like I'm sure the answer to, how much of a true story this game is could be pretty easily answered. I don't think I'm gonna look for the answer. I think I'll just leave it there, Don't pull a Davy. Let the game be what the game is. A lot of good messages in here. Yeah, it seems like the farther into it you go, the less true it is. It seems like the first part about, meeting him at a game jam and all that easily could be a true story, but then it seems like it was a larger exaggeration towards the end. But obviously I have no way of knowing this. That's just my feel of it. Like something similar could have happened, but maybe not to the exact extent that the game's portraying it. So it's more of a inspired by a true story, not based on a true story. That would be my guess, personally. But yeah, this was quite a ride. Oh, you mean in story? I mean, yeah, the same goes for in story. It seems like he was real. But obviously, you could go the other way and say Coda was never real, and it was just Davy's way of getting that validation and expressing himself. Well, my friend has a problem. You know, this is the work of my depressed friend, even though it was him. But yeah, I could go on for a while talking about this. So it was an adventure. I'm glad I played it. Like I said, not what I was expecting, but a good game regardless. That is gonna do it for me though. Running a little late.